We're going to do a demo of the DApp Hero collectible example template in Webflow. So we've done another video showing you how to do this in Glitch, which gives a really nice overview of all the actual HTML that goes into using the collectible feature. And it's not very much. We counted it up. It was only about nine tags. Now I'm going to show you how you can leverage this power inside of Webflow so you can create really beautiful layouts really very quickly and power them using the blockchain, DApp Hero, and access NFT collectibles on the blockchain. So this allows you to build things like, marketplaces, personal websites. It allows you to build, gallery type experiences. So let's load it up right now. We'll go to the published example. You can actually clone this example from Webflow. You would actually go to this button here, clone this Webflow project. So first, visit dapphero-collectibles.webflow.io. That'll give you this example that's loaded up here. Then you can go over to, you click the button, clone this Webflow project, which takes you into the Webflow theme, sort of like template, sort of showcase area. And here you can clone it, and then you can edit yourself, right? So just to show you through like what is happening in this template example, we have a DApp Hero site, we have a Webflow site actually, and then we have a bunch of tokens, right, that show up. These are collectibles that exist on the blockchain, decentralized. Anybody can buy, sell, or trade them. Very cool, very cool. And we have the feature functionality of being able to page through the results. If you click previous or next, it will collect a new set of collectibles from the blockchain for you. And then if you click on one of them, it will actually pull up a new page that will display this single collectible, right? So you can see a single image here, right? And then you get some information here. It's called important message. That's the name of this collectible, I guess. We see the owner, and then we actually see the OpenSea owner too, Lulux. All right. So let us first of all, if you're just getting started with this, while this is loading, you can actually click Show Instructions. And we've added some instructions into this template so that you can get started right away here. So that's just a little bit of a convenience feature that you might enjoy. So let's go back to Webflow, and this is what you're going to see after you clone the project, and this is where you're going to get started. So if you recall from the other video or from using any of the other DApp Hero functionality, the way we build applications in DApp Hero, the way we use it in our projects is we use tags to first we add a script tag to our project. Right, and I'll show you where that is. We go here, you click on your page. We have two pages here, home and collectible. Right, you click on the gear icon. And down at the bottom, this is where we add our tag. Right, and you'll get your own tag from the DApp Hero admin interface. Check out single collectible, same thing. We have our DApp Hero script tag here. So what we do when we create a project, when we're sort of creating a feature on the website, we create method instances which represent the feature that we're trying to connect to. And then we create the actual elements that we want to have powered, right? So to show you that, right? So here we have a section. And this is the sort of nav for all of the web page here inside of Webflow. So this is a section. If we open it up, we're going to be working a lot over here in the gear icon in the settings, right? So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to create a method instance on this section because we're saying, hey, in this section, this is where I want to show my list of collectibles. So this is where I'm going to create the method instance to set up the DApp Hero core engine to go out and fetch these collectibles from the blockchain. So here we add these custom HTML attributes. If you see over here, the custom attributes, and we're going to give it a data DH feature NFT. Then we give it a data DH property tag ID. In this case, we're giving it 000. This tag ID is what links this method instance to the features. Then we need to tell it the contract address that we want to attach to. So we have data DH property asset contract address, and then we just have a contract address in here. And this is the contract address to NFT contract on the blockchain. And then we're adding some pagination here. So if you watch the other video, pagination limit is 30. And that it means how many tokens we want to display, how many collectibles we want to display. And pagination offset 10. And this is from where in the great list of tokens and collectibles that have been created on this smart contract do we want to start displaying this 30 tokens, right? So to give you a better example of what that means, if you have an NFT smart contract, a collectible smart contract on the blockchain, and it's created 1,000 tokens, right? If we do a pagination offset of 10 and a limit of 30, what this means is I want to get 30 tokens. I want to display 30 collectibles from that smart contract list of collectibles. So if there's 1,000 of them, I want to show 30 at a time. But from where do I want to start? Do I want to show tokens 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 500 to 560? And that's what the offset is. That's where we want to start in that list, right? So here we would say 10 means actually I want to show tokens from token 10. So in this case, with a limit of 30 and an offset of 10, we're going to start at token number 10, token ID number 10, and show from 10 to 40, right? Because that's 30 tokens. So that is our method instance that describes how DApp Hero is going to work. So inside of the section, you see a container, right? And the container is now going to represent the collectible that we're displaying, right? So the way it works is we create a method instance, in this case on a section, and that says, hey, this is the collectible feature that I want to access. This is the contract address. This is how many collectibles I want to get. And then container here, it's a container. Here we give it the attributes and say, hey, this is the shape, the prototype of the asset that I want to display. And what that means is you're telling DApp Hero, okay, when we load, we're gonna show 30 of these containers, right? Because this container here, we have a property tag ID of 000, right? That links us to the section property tag ID of 000, right? And then I say, hey, this container, this is my asset item, right? So data DH property asset item, right? So that's what we're saying here. We're saying this, DApp Hero, this is my asset, right? So this container is what's going to get duplicated 30 times to show 30 different tokens. So that's how we set that up. So now inside, we're going to show 3 pieces of information, right? So if we open this up, we have a div block, which wraps the whole thing, a link block, which allows us to click on this and turn it into a link, like when we click on the picture. Then we have an image for our token. Then we have, it says loading here, that's sort of a placeholder. That'll be the name of the token. It says loading until it gets replaced with the name of the token. And then we have an ID, which will actually be the token ID, right? So when we see that in action, of course, it looks like this. We have our image, and this is some nice animation that interactivity that is added through Webflow. We have the name of the token, and then we have the ID of the token, right? So what we're going to do to make all this magic happen, right? We click on the image, we go again to the custom attributes, and we give it the data DH property asset JSON path image URL, right? And image URL is the URL of this image. And what happens is now the DApp Hero engine will actually come in and swap this out and replace it with the actual token collectible image, right? Here, instead of loading, we put loading because that's sort of a nice placeholder while we're waiting for the tokens to load. We give it this attribute of data DH property asset JSON path name, right? So now that's going to be the name of this particular collectible. And then down here we have ID. And ID is a little bit different because here in loading, that gets replaced, right, entirely. But here, you notice we keep the ID. So what we're doing down here is we have another paragraph, But inside that paragraph, we have a text span, right? So these dots, this dot, 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 that's a text span. And on that text span, we give it the attributes of data DH property asset JSON path again, and we give it token ID, right? So that is now going to return the token ID when it gets loaded. And this, again, because this is our container, this is our asset. These things will be unique for each token, right? So it's going to get repeated, but these data elements are going to be swapped out using the token that we are particularly on. So the final one to consider here is the link block, right? And this is what allows us to click on any one of these tokens. And if you go over and check out the URL, right, the link settings, we are creating a link to, oops, sorry, wrong thing. We are creating a link to a new page, which is dapphero-collections.webflow.io.single collectible, right? And then we have a single collectible, by the way, is the name of our other page here, single collectible, right? We have to use the URL. We can't use Webflow's native page feature because that won't allow us to add any more data. So we have to use the link, the URL specifically. Sorry, keeps opening that. So now when we go in again, let's scroll over a bit. We add URL query params, right? So after a single collectible, which is the page, we add a question mark, right? And then we write asset token ID, which is refers to the token ID, and then we put in $ this token ID, right? And that is going to be replaced, just like the image is replaced for each asset. This token ID is going to be replaced with the token ID of each asset. And then we have an ampersand sign, asset contract address, right? And then we have our contract address. What's happening now is that we are going to be generating a link dynamically for each collectible that'll link to our single collectible page, pass it the token ID and the contract ID that we want, right? So what happens when you click on one is you get this in the URL bar, asset token ID, and instead of the $ this token ID, we get 22139, which is actually this token ID, right? So let's look at single collectible really quickly. Let's go back over here. Again, we have the same sort of setup. Remember, we have the script tag in there. We've created this sort of like hero thing. And this hero is our method instance, right? So we're good. In this case, this is the only thing on the page. So we just say, okay, this is our method instance. We give it the data DH feature NFT. We give it a tag ID. We give it the asset token ID. And now, instead of hard coding the asset token ID, we do $URL. So that knows to automatically go fetch the token ID, the asset token ID from the URL bar, not hard code it, right? And that allows us to send in any token ID here, and it'll automatically load a new image for us, right? So we can try 8. Now, 1 through 8 doesn't necessarily have to be a token. Fortunately, it is, as you can see here. So it'll automatically load that contract token ID. So that's how we create sort of dynamic. This page can be dynamic because it's going to get the data of what it needs to load from the URL bar, right? So inside, we now that we've created the method instance, we have this container here. It's a flex container. We give the property tag ID of 000, which matches the method instance tag ID. And then we give it an asset item true. And now what we're saying to DApp Hero is, hey, this is our asset, right? And this is what we want to fill in with the token information. And if you note, this is only sending in one token, right? Because we are here, we're not doing a list, and actually there's a great site that you can learn more about how all this works, which is if you go to docs.hero and you go to collectibles, you'll see here that we have information about getting, listing single collectibles and listing multiple collectibles. So you can go to the docs there to understand the difference. Here in the image, again, we give it the data DH property asset JSON path image URL. On the heading, we are going to give this the JSON path of name. For the description, we give it a JSON path of description. And these are all defined on the metadata JSON element. That's why that works. This is just owner, doesn't have anything here. It's just owner, it always says owner. Then we say asset JSON path of owner dot address. And this is an example of dotting into the metadata, right? There's an owner object and one of the properties on it is address. And then because this data is all coming from the OpenSea API, what we have here is OpenSea user. We have access to actually seeing what OpenSea user actually owns this asset, if any, right? Like, and if there is no OpenSea user that owns it, then it'll stay unknown. It won't be changed. But otherwise, we would dot into owner.user.username, right? So when all is said is done, we simply publish our page, publish to selected networks, right? And then we get the site, right? This is, let me get rid of that. We're instantly live, and then we get the site that we created, right? So what this lets us do is, especially using Webflow, if you notice some of these cool features here, like the image sort of pops up, it's kind of like got a little bit of a nicer design to it. There's a little bit of a drop shadow. Using Webflow and Dap Hero allows you to create really exciting, cool websites, you know, dynamic with cool interactivity, nice features, really easily. And that allows you to build beautiful sites. With Dap Hero integrated, running inside of it, that allows you to build beautiful blockchain-enabled sites. We're really looking forward to how people use the collectible functionality to see people build new sites with NFTs, marketplaces, galleries, personal showcases. These are all things that we're really enabling now. And we're also looking forward to see some exciting Dap Hero templates showing how to use this functionality. Really beautiful, beautiful examples. So that's it for this video. We'll be adding more features to Collectibles soon, so stay tuned. Please get started and start playing around. As always, you can hit us up in our Telegram group. Our forum will be opening shortly, and you can look at our documentation as well. So have fun. Happy hacking.